Stephanie Padovani from Best Hudson Valley Wedding Ever, and I am interviewing my friend Emma McKnight of Cruises Inc. and cruisewithemma.com. Now, she is a cruise specialist but knows a lot about planning honeymoons. So I have a couple questions for you.
Okay.
And first off, I'm going to pretend that I'm a bride planning my honeymoon, or thinking about my honeymoon, which Jeff and I never really got a proper honeymoon, by the way. So this is very accurate. And we talked about, just going to give you an idea. I have an idea that I'd really like to go to Costa Rica, and my wedding is beginning of July next year. So how would you help me with that if I came to you in that scenario?
Well, first thing, Stephanie, I would want to know, when you think about Costa Rica, what is it you're thinking about? What is making you say, I want to go to Costa Rica?
Oh, I'm thinking about the jungle. I'm thinking about monkeys.
Okay.
And kind of adventure travel type of stuff.
Okay. Well, Costa Rica really is one of the largest eco-tourist spots in the Western Hemisphere, so it's a good choice. But I need to let you know that if you're thinking about going on your honeymoon immediately after your wedding in July, that's the rainy season in Costa Rica.
Yeah.
So, sure, you can go out in the jungle in the middle of the rainy season. It's a possibility, but you're really not going to enjoy it as much as if you go between, say, December and April.
Really?
Yeah. So one of the biggest things I'm looking for when I ask someone, what is it you're interested in, is what exactly is making them say that spot. When I hear people say, well, we want to go to Alaska, for example, going to Alaska is great, but if you go in May or June, it's not the same season as July, August, which is not the same season as September and October. Now, you can take a tour of Alaska from May to October, but you're going to see different things during the time. If you go to Alaska in May and June, you are definitely going to see bear with their cub. So if you want to see new life in Alaska, the time to go is late spring. If you're looking to see the aurora borealis, the dancing lights in the sky, that's going to be July. You need to go the end of July to see the dancing lights.
Wow. See, I would have no idea.
Yeah.
Is there any way that couples could know this stuff before or without?
That's what I know. That's why you come to me. That's why you come to a travel agent. Someone who, that's my job, to know when the best time. Sure, you could probably go online and do some research. But if you're planning your wedding, do you really want to spend time searching for the best time to go to Costa Rica or Alaska, or are you looking for the best tidbits for your wedding table?
More likely, that's what I'm interested in at the moment, for sure. Well, so I have a question for you. In your experience, what question are couples not asking you about honeymoon planning that they really should be asking?
I don't think that brides and grooms are looking at their honeymoon when they start planning their wedding. They're thinking about the gown, they're thinking about the colors, they're thinking about the floral arrangements. They're not thinking about what they're going to do after the reception is done. What you need to do is start planning for your honeymoon the same time you start planning your wedding.
Wow.
And if that means the same way you put together a budget for your honeymoon or your wedding, you should be putting together a budget for your honeymoon. They should not coexist. A totally separate bank account for your honeymoon should be put into place.
Now, why do you suggest that?
Because when you look at all of the budgetary forms online, you see your music, you see her, so you see her gown, her shoes, everything is there. Honeymoon is not.
Right.
So if you put money into that same account, you're going to get to 100% before you deal with your honeymoon.
Right.
So you need to set up a totally separate account and budget constraints for your honeymoon.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So you had mentioned earlier that I know a lot of couples want to do the traditional thing of going on a honeymoon right after their wedding. suggested some really interesting tips as far as planning at other times. You want to go into that a little
Well,
bit for me?
I think about my daughter, for example. My daughter, and she and her new husband wanted to go to Greece. They were really intrigued by the Adriatic, Eastern Mediterranean, and the wedding was in September. Well, September in Greece is starting to get cold. They're not going to be swimming.
Right.
What we did was we planned, let's send you to Greece in July. It's not going to detract from the fact that it's still their honeymoon. Plus, it gave them extra time between the wedding and departure to have some more money put away.
Wow.
So you can have your honeymoon years after if you start planning for it during the wedding planning process. You are putting money together toward your honeymoon. You don't have to leave exactly the day after.
You know what I had heard too, and I've heard this from more than one of our couples after the wedding when I talked to them. They've said things like, oh, we were so exhausted after our wedding that we slept for an entire 24 hours. So the first day of their honeymoon was just sleeping.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You have put so much effort into having the perfect day. You're exhausted. I actually know people who missed the plane because they overslept.
Oh, yeah. It does make a lot of sense to me to put it off, even if not months into the future. Even a couple weeks could
I've got
help.
clients, they're getting married on Halloween. I have to say, the first thing they said was, it's not a Halloween-themed wedding. I know someone else who did that with the Halloween. But they're not having a Halloween-themed wedding. They're not going on their honeymoon until November 12th.
Wow.
Why? It just gave them time to decompress after
I think
the
that's a
wedding.
great idea. There's so much excitement and build up, and to be able to just enjoy, wow, I'm married, and
Right.
come down a little bit before you go off into the excitement of a honeymoon. Sounds like a really good suggestion. Definitely. All right, well, thank you so much, Emma.
Thank
I really
you.
appreciate your time, and these are some really, really helpful things you shared today. So I'm with Emma McKnight again of Cruises Inc. and cruisewithemma.com.